Got about 3 minutes left. Greetings. I am live on two platforms this evening, and I am super excited. I'm going to do my best to go into the two different platforms. I've not done this before. So this is really exciting. So, greetings and welcome. It is Teresa Smith, and I am super excited to be here this evening to do the very first episode of my newest podcast. I am very, very excited for this. This podcast is called Transform Her. Transform Her. Um, and there's a whole lot that I could say, and there's a whole lot that we'll get into as we get more into this. And as I shared just a few seconds ago, as I was getting started, I am live on two different platforms right now. So I'm going to do my best to talk to both platforms for right now. This is the platform on my laptop is my primary streaming place right now. Streaming live from Riverside. I am very excited for this again this evening. Hello, Antoine. How are you? Good to see you, friend. Um, Very excited to be doing this. I have I have a confession. I almost didn't do the podcast. Just a little bit of imposter syndrome kicked in, and I almost talked myself out of it again. But I have been very busy for the last year. So, but yeah, just kind of wanting to get myself started. Um, Back into the podcasting, back into the broadcasting arena. I have missed this so much. If this is your first time experiencing me, again, my name is Teresa Smith. I am just an amazing, extraordinary human that has come into this experience to help other humans. So that is what I'm here for. And Transform Her is a new platform that I have created for just kind of a great space for women to come together to add value to each other's experiences. Um, I have had podcasts before. I did a podcast. The Worthy Woman Wednesdays was one of my favorite podcasts that I did. And I did that through a nonprofit that I founded, the Worthy Woman Initiative. So we had a podcast on Wednesdays that was just a place for women to come on. And for about an hour and a half, we just talked about what we were worthy of. Because sometimes we don't feel that we're worthy. And I've been in that hip space before, and I've been in that heart space before. So I know what it feels like to feel unworthy. So that's part how the Worthy Woman Initiative came to be in and of itself. But creating that space for women to just kind of be, um, and be for ourselves and not for everybody else. So transform her is kind of a spin off on the same thing, just knowing that there is so much magic that is and is created when humans just help other humans, when humans are just good to each other and treat each other with decency and kindness and respect and um, empathy and compassion and all the things. But when we are doing those things as humans, but it's even more magical when women help each other. Um, and it seems amazing to me sometimes that the narratives that get created about women supporting each other, how we can't get along and how we're catty and how we're emotional and how we're all the things that we've been branded, when in actuality we're just female humans, and that is just the way we're wired. So and being in different places of leadership, now being in so far in the greatest leadership position of my life, outside of being a wife and mother, which is great leadership, but in this new role, just encountering more and more times that women who are strong leaders, just by virtue of being a strong leader, are expected to all be a certain type of way. There is um, a belief that we have to adapt to a more patriarchal type of leadership. There is the belief that we can't be soft. There is the belief that we can't be emotional, which that is just what humans are. That's a part of our makeup. So it's amazing that women are oftentimes put down or villainized. Maybe, I don't know, I don't want to necessarily say villainized, but sometimes women are put down because people say that women are emotional. But again, humans are emotional. That is a human expression. So creating a place for, again, us to come together and have some conversations that are meaningful and important to who we are, who we were designed to be, who we were created to be, um, and who sometimes just we want to be. We are so busy oftentimes. This is men and women. This is just people, period. We can get so caught up to doing our best to fit into the model that either our parents gave us because they're our first teachers. Ooh, look at my forehead. It looks so big. I'm gonna put a little bit of hair out here like that. Okay, yeah. To sometimes we are living the life that was ascribed to us when we were children. We were told, your parents, we think we're doing the best. We really do. We think we are doing the best. We think we know what because we're parents. We know more than you. You're a child. You don't know anything. But, finding that place to teach our children to adapt to who they are as their whole selves. So if you didn't grow up with a parent that poured into you in that kind of way, then maybe you don't know how to be your whole self, because I didn't for a very, very, very long time. So because I didn't, it's important to me now that I have gotten to a place, hey, Andre, gotten to a place where I am cracked open. And I mean that holistically, that I am cracked open in my mind, body, and spirit, where I am comfortable enough being me that I show up in all the places, faces, and spaces being me. So, a lot of what Transform Horror is about is from the foundation of the female experience, creating this space where women can talk about what it means to be a cracked open woman, or in the case of most, to be a not cracked open woman, a woman that hasn't found her realness. And I mean her realness. I don't mean the realness of the character that we portray or the representative that we show up as to most of the the places that we show up. I mean, the real, real, real you. And sometimes, most times, we don't know who the real, real, real us is because we haven't done the work to know who the real us is. It is very comfortable being uncomfortable. And I say that because a lot of times we get very comfortable in the spaces that we're in, and we may not even like them. It doesn't even feel good, whether it is escapism, which could be everything from scrolling on your social media for hours on end to um, ordering things off of the internet to just checking out. So there's all these ways to not be our authentic selves, and society has kind of told us we shouldn't be our authentic selves. You everything you look at tells you you should change the way you look, change the way you dress, change the way you think, because it doesn't look like this person, it doesn't look like this person, it doesn't look like this person. And we buy into that. We believe that something is wrong with us because somebody who sits behind computers and algorithms and all the things decides what's valuable to us right now, what's in style right now, what's popular, all the things. And then we try to meet it. We try to do all the things. And it leads us into sometimes some deep, dark places. I've been in some deep, dark places, just literally, just again, living as somebody other than the real me. Because I didn't grow up believing that the world really wanted the real me. I had to look a certain way, and I didn't look a certain way to a lot of people. I didn't look a certain way to the people in my household. Some of them. I didn't meet the criteria to be made to feel like I was pretty. So, when you grow up with narratives, then you talk to yourself in the same narratives that you heard maybe for a part of your lifetime. And then when it's time to be the real you, you don't really know who the real you is. And I admit that I was in that place for a very long time. I was good at being that place. I was good at, because I've always been me, you know, fun, exciting, life full of life me, but I was a version of me that I still thought the world wanted versus being the me that I was born, ordained, and designed to be. And a lot of us are in that place, especially as women. Again, I'm not knocking anybody. This podcast has been in the works for God knows how long. So this is conversation that I've been having with a lot of women, and particularly women in leadership, who are still trying to find themselves and find their voices in the places that they are. We struggle with, again, imposter syndrome. This imposter syndrome, yet even tonight, I've been planning this podcast. I've been planning it for, God, months. Now I've been busy. I've been busy. Being the mayor, I've been busy. I promise. But I could have carved out some time for it. But there were all these little narratives I was telling myself about, you know, being arrogant to want to be seen on screen. Now everybody's on TikTok, everybody's on the shorts, everybody's doing all the things, but there was still a little voice in my head that was saying, you shouldn't do that again. People gonna think you cocky. People gonna think you arrogant. People gonna think, what? People who? Who are the people? I'm the people. And most of the people I was talking about were the people in my own head. I wasn't talking about you. I was talking about me. I was talking myself out of it. And again, that's that imposter syndrome that so many of us, I don't want to say struggle with, because I don't want to speak negative words. And if you know me, you know me. That's not my jam. I don't talk negatively. But so many of us have imposter syndrome, or rounds and bouts of imposter syndrome, where that little voice in our head talks us out of doing that very thing that we know we're supposed to be doing. You can feel it. You feel it in your bones. It's that thing, and you know it's it. You know it's it, but you won't do it because of that one person who the last time you told somebody you were gonna do something, that person who said, "Why you gonna do that? Girl, everybody doing that. Everybody got a podcast." And then you say to yourself, "You're right. Everybody's got a podcast," and then you just don't do it. That's me. That's me. That's the prayer queen. That's the choir preaching to the choir. Me preaching to me right now. So this right here was a true thing for me, and I shared that with somebody tonight who is such a champion for me. And I don't know if she's tuned in on. I'm on a couple of platforms. I'm really out there this time. I'm on Instagram Live on here. I think I'm on Facebook Live. I've got my streaming going. I'm doing all the things. I'm doing all of them because I had to do it. I had I had to do it because that little voice in my head kept saying, "Who wants to listen to you? They're not listening to you. People got other stuff to do." It's 9:15 on Wednesday night. I think right now I'm usually watching Abbott Elementary. Oh my God, I'm missing Abbott Elementary for this. I think it's Abbott Elementary. I think that's what I watch. I don't know, but that's the voice in my head that would say, "Hey, don't do this." But I also know that little voice in my head that's speaking like that is my ego. And your ego, I heard this guy say once that ego stood for edging God out. So I have to remind myself when that little voice is talking to me, telling me, "Don't do this." Whether it's the podcast, whether it's go live on your Instagram, because once you live, you live. You can't unlive. You live. So whatever that voice, that's my ego talking, and my ego is here. In its if you could call it pureness, in its thing, it's here to keep me safe, right? Your ego is really here to keep you safe. But safe is not really where you want to be. It's really not safe. It's just keeping you in that loop that keeps you in that loop that keeps you from doing the thing, which is almost how I almost didn't do the podcast because I was like, no, I'm not going to do this. And then it wasn't perfect. It wasn't perfect. I don't know what perfect really means, but it wasn't perfect. I didn't have, last I had all the people who want to produce me. I want to do this. I want to help you. I want to help you. But at the end of the day, this time it came down to me doing it, if nothing else, just to make sure I did it. Because if people were kept leaving it up to me, I never would have done this podcast again. Because again, I'm waiting on perfection. I'm waiting on perfection. I'm waiting on something to be absolutely right. I got Canva. I've been had Canva forever, so I know how to use it. But I made a flyer and then I was like, oh my God, this flyer looks so cheesy. It looks so cheap. Oh my God, I'm gonna get somebody on Fiverr to do it. And I was like, no, I'm not. I'm capable of this. All these conversations I have with myself. And I tell you, if you're not having conversations with yourself, you should start. Conversations with self are the best conversations you should have. And I hope you talk to yourself like you would talk to your best friend, because that's how we should be talking to self, not like the enemy that we often do, not villainizing ourselves, not making ourselves feel bad about being us, because sometimes we do that. But this is an opportunity for anybody who wants to tune in. Yes, it's transform her, because really we need help. Women, get you something to drink if you don't have anything. But this is about really about women helping and supporting each other, adding value to each other's experience. It is honestly painful to me, and it grieves me in my spirit when I see anything, whether it's a television show, whether it's on YouTube, where it's I'm scrolling on TikTok, whatever, when I see women hurting other women, whether it is mentally, physically, spiritually, or emotionally. It grieves me to see women, you know, not not treating each other well. We are so magical just by design, just by the way the creator made us. We are some magical, magical creatures. And we will waste it squandering because somebody feels like somebody's magic is more magical than theirs. You got more this than I got, or you do it better, she did it better. Just all these things that again society has is using to keep us separated. That's part. And then on top of that, how how we take it and weaponize it the more to actually do harm to each other. That grieves me in my spirit because we are so much better than that. We we as humans, we are so much better than that. So again, I might have gotten a little bit off topic because I have some script notes here, but I don't want to use script notes. I want it to be as authentic as I could be, especially for this first episode, because this is a every every other week we're gonna be doing this. First and third Wednesdays will be live on all the platforms streaming. So, you know, I do I have scripts? Yeah. Do I want to use it? Nah. I just wanna I wanna talk. I just want to create the places and faces and spaces that people need to hear from. This is not about me just sitting on here speaking every week. This is the first episode. So I wanted to come on and give you some insight about what to anticipate in this 9 o'clock Eastern time hour on Wednesdays, um, on the first and third Wednesdays, not every Wednesday. But what to anticipate. This is really about helping people to recognize and understand, not understand, understand your divine assignment in the human experience. That's basically, in a nutshell, what we're doing here. We are here um, because we're all here by a divine appointment for a divine assignment. And it is so easy to forget that because we're doing all the things. You know, we're doing all the things. You know, society says you got to have a job, you got to have two jobs, you got to have a mate, you got to have kids, you got to have interests, you got to. And we gotta in a lot. So we got to figure out ways to tap into self, going back to why we're here is to really tap into the real authentic, the real. And I know people say that, like, just keep hearing people talk about authentic self, authentic self. It's a real thing, the real you. Who is the real you? And guaranteed, you don't know. And if you do, it's not the same you that you knew probably the last time you knew. Because we are ever evolving. We are ever evolving. We're constantly, constantly changing. At least you should be. I hope you are. It's kind of a scary thing if you're not. Songs a long time ago said, everything must change. Nothing stays the same. Nothing and no one goes unchanged. And I just shared with somebody just yesterday a quote that I heard a while ago, and it said, change before you have to. Change before you have to. Do you know how challenging it is to have to when the doctor tells you you have to stop eating salt or have to stop eating sugar or have to exercise. It's usually the doctor. That's the one that usually, you know, we dread it. We dread it. But we knew we were supposed to do it before the doctor told us we did it. Your body was telling you. You were feeling some type of way, you know, out of breath, whatever, all the things, the things that we do, but you didn't do it. And then when the doctor says you have to do it, then it just seems that much worse because now you're being made to have to do it. Now you dread it. Oh my God, this is so terrible. You complain about it. You hate it. Oh my God, it's the worst. But if you could do little small changes, small changes, doesn't have to be anything seismic. Small changes add up to big results. So, there is there's the opportunity to make small changes to follow the follow life's little breadcrumbs. Their little the little intuition that comes, the little thing that says you should do this. Go over there and talk to so and so. But usually that same voice that is telling you to go do it sounds like the voice that's telling you better not go do that. Why would you do that? Why would you who that same voice that was telling me not to do this podcast? The same one that probably at the end is going to tell me, you can delete that, right? You can get rid of that. Nobody, you had two, three, five people tuned in. They just watched you for a little while. You can turn it off. Not going to listen to it this time. And I am going to share this space with you to do the same thing, is to say yes to some things and to release some things. Try not to say no. There's so much power in yes. So much power in yes. And the things that I don't want to do, the things that don't feel naturally right to me, the things that don't serve me any longer. Because if it's in my experience, at some point it was of some sense of value to me. So, um, but generally we tend to hold on to things way too long, like that carton of milk in the back of the refrigerator that you know is bad, but you just don't throw it away. You know it's bad. You know you can't consume it. You just don't throw it away. I don't know why we do that. But sometimes we have things in our lives that are like that. Emotions, you know, feelings, people, attitudes, you know, limiting beliefs, all of the things we have those. So, we can but we can release them. There's so much power in our words, and we give them life when we speak them. So, because we have a consciousness, and there is no choice without consciousness. So if you have the choice to decide, I'm gonna tune in and listen to this tonight. That's a choice. So again, there's no choice without consciousness. So in your consciousness, this is all about making choices that are for your good, for your whole self, for your real self, and to create the best experience for you based on your metrics, not the metrics set by somebody else, not the metrics set by your parents. When again, as a parent, I still pray that my children survive me and don't have to go to therapy for the rest of their lives, because as parents, we do what we think is best because we know best. But as we do those things, sometimes we take on a story that isn't ours. And we take on a story that isn't ours. We live that story because we know it. I've been knowing, that the things I've known about me, I've been told about me since I was a little bitty girl. So I've been knowing it for so long. How do I not know it? you know? And then there's the part of us that resist letting it go because we know it. It's comfortable. We've gotten comfortable in that uncomfortable place. But we are, again, we're always evolving, and we should be growing like a tree. You don't see a tree grow. You just one day it's just a tree. It's just there. But in order to grow, you have to get out of that place of comfort. I love quotes. I love quotes because I am a visual person. And quotes I can see. You know, somebody just talking, you know, I just talking. You can talk. I talk. And I hope you can follow along. But I talk. But sometimes people are talking, but I'm a visual person. So if you give me a quote, I can make it into a picture. And I heard a quote once that said, "There is no comfort in growth, and there is no growth in comfort." And that was pretty life-changing for me. There is no comfort in growth. You should be getting out of the old and into the new. It should feel a little awkward, a little different, a little strange, a little all the things. And then there's no growth and comfort if you just happy doing the same thing over and over. All you're going to get is the same thing over and over. So there is no growth in comfort and there is no comfort in growth. So if you really want to grow, you've got to be you've got to get comfortable being uncomfortable. It's that simple. It's that simple. So this is my being uncomfortable moment right here. Just putting myself out there and just being cracked open and being unapologetically cracked open. Because again, we can do the work. We can start doing the work to get an understanding because we talk about an understanding, but that's just it. We standing under our. I want an understanding. I want to know that thing that's on the inside of me. What am I doing? What am I doing here? In order to really understand it, for most of us, we have to go through a mindset reset, changing changing our narratives that we have again heard for probably our entire lives. And you hear it long enough, you believe it. You'll start telling the story the same thing somebody else has been saying. You know it's not true. But we start to repeat those things because again, it just gets comfortable. But we got to learn to be uncomfortable if we really want to be, do, and have the things that we want to be, that we say we want to be, do, and have. So um a part of that has to be from a place of openness, and the V word that people try to weaponize, and that is, it's hard to say it because it has an L in it that doesn't seem like it's supposed to be there, but vulnerability, being vulnerable. We don't like to be vulnerable. People are afraid of being judged, you know, um, that people are going to see me in my flaws, that people will not think that I'm perfect. And that is such a societal message that we have to be a certain level of perfect for people to accept us. Every hair's got to be in place. Hey, Jessica. Your makeup's got to be perfect. And I'm telling you now, I love my makeup. I just love it. I just love eye makeup. I just love it. But sometimes we don't do those things again because somebody has made us feel a certain way about ourselves And we just don't do it. I'm just not going to do it. I'm not pretty enough. I'm too fat. I'm too this. All the things we say to ourselves, things that we would never say to our best friend. Never say that to my best friend. I would never say to my best friend, girl, you too fat. But we'll say it to ourselves. How do we change the narrative that we have with ourselves and show up as our whole, vulnerable self in all of the places that we may go? That means not turning off. Mm, trying to find the right words to say. Sometimes it's not about not turning off. Sometimes it's about not turning on. Because again, if I don't look a certain way, or if I don't speak with a certain dialect or diction, or you know, I'm now I will say I'm putting on a little bit of a voice here because those that know me outside of my professional life or when I'm at home and hanging out with my girlfriends, my diction might not be the same. I speak Ebonics very well. And I'm okay with that. Sometimes in a professional setting, if it calls for it, I will do it then as well. And while I may change my tone and my diction, I do not change my words. I do not change my beliefs to suit you to make other people feel comfortable. That I'm not willing to do that. My throat is dry. I gotta take a sip. And I had to turn this cup around because it's a great Yeti cup. Or I should gave them a free shout out. But I shouldn't be giving shout outs to people without learning. So I had to turn this cup around. So I'm sorry. I had to take a little sip of tea. I got my chamomile tea so that I would be sleepy tonight. Um, but being cracked open again, this whole thing is about being cracked open. And being open and vulnerable means that you can be real and raw and receptive to whatever life brings without losing your marbles. Being okay with life lifing, fully knowing at the same time that I have the power to control how life lives. That's going to be in a future episode. That's not tonight. That's too deep for tonight because we don't have but about 25 minutes left. And I will not go there tonight because y'all ain't ready for that yet. Maybe you are. I don't know. Um, but just being really real, but being really real with self first. Because again, we can get so comfortable. There's that word again. Believing the stories that other people told us about ourselves. We can get so comfortable with that we don't know who we are anymore. And then we start lying to ourselves too. We start making up all kinds of stuff. And I say we because I have done the same. Am I in that heart space now? No. No. Have I been? Yes. Self-destructive, all the things. So again, a lot of this podcast is about me opening up and sharing with you some of the things that I had to experience to get my full understanding for what my divine purpose is, or my divine assignment is, and my divine purpose. But again, this won't just be me. There will be other healers that will come on, whether they be mental, physical, spiritual, emotional healers, because the space that I move in is a great space for healing, because that's really what so many of us need to do. And we will not talk about it. We will not talk about it. At least not in an open platform, open forum usually. People will talk about it, one on one. I talk about it with my clients. I talk about it, with girlfriends. I talk about it with strangers on the street. But a lot of times, people talk about it, but it's work. Now, um, what kind of work it is perspective. It is challenging, but I share with people all the time. Two things about a challenge: they do not last always. And at the end of it, you should be better. So the inner work is challenging. But I will tell you, if you make peace with the fact that you need to do the work, because we all, in order to get an inner standing, you have to do inner work. You cannot read it in a book. You can't find it in a podcast. You can get perspectives and ideas and whatnot, but your understanding comes from doing the work. But the real magic is when you find the joy in the work. And I know that sounds almost wrong, but it's as right as it gets. If you find the joy, it's almost like changing the words you use. Instead of saying you've got to do something, and you put a spin on it and say, I get to do this. It's the same thing. Yeah, it's work. Being you is just work, period. But being the best version of you, the most authentic, realist, unapologetic, cracked open, this is who I am version of you, that's work. But the key is to find the joy in the work. So, Transform Her is about creating this space and showing the world that it's okay to know that we are all flawed. We are all flawed humans. That is so why I don't get upset with anybody that flaws differently than I do. I want people to human the way they human. I just want them to human as the best version of themselves. So this is what we're here to do. We are here to connect. Again, this is just me tonight. And I do hope that as this is the first night of this, but as this audience builds, as this platform builds, as we as we journey to truth, your truth, the truth, as we journey there, that people find the joy in the work, because it is work. But the other side of all of this, the other side is so amazing that once you have it, you never go back. You will never go back to the other version of you that the world had for however long they had it. You'll never go back. This is an amazing space to be in. And I get to experience a lot of amazing things because of my willingness to show up as me. People like real. Coca-Cola had a commercial about it a long time ago saying nothing like the real thing. No, that wasn't Coca-Cola had the commercial, but that was who? Tammy, Tammy and somebody. Not Marvin Gaye. What's the other guy's name? Donny Hathaway, I think. What? I think it was Donny Hathaway and Tammy Terrell. Somebody like that. Whatever. But ain't nothing like the real thing. Ain't nothing like the real thing. People paid millions of dollars for a real Picasso, hundreds of $1,000s for a real purse. People like real. Thank you, Tammy Terrell and Marvin Gaye. I thought I was kind of on it. But people like real. And if you're showing up as real, real experiences show up for you. But if you're going to, you get what you put out. So if you're going to show up as fake, can't be mad when fake shows up in your experience. But we're entering into a new era in this human evolution. And again, it'll be episodes down, but I will tell you that in order to really be able to exist in this next evolution, real is going to have to be your foundation. And I will tell you that unconditional love and forgiveness, not lip service forgiveness, real, genuine, in my heart of hearts, forgiveness is going to have to take place. And that is where the real work begins. And when I say forgiveness, I'm talking about everything and everybody, starting with yourself. And I hear people say all the time, oh, and then I got to forgive myself from. That's that resistance I talked about in the beginning. The failure to believe that you have anything even to give up. Release, release, letting things go. It's okay to say I have this if you follow it with, and I release it. And I know that sounds so simple. And it really is that simple. I acknowledge that I have this feeling that makes me do this thing or say this thing or act this way. And I release it. The more you tell yourself that, the more likely you are to release it. But we don't do that. We'll tell ourselves the first part. We'll point out all the things that are wrong. I'm under my electric blanket and it is so warm and cozy. But we'll tell ourselves all kinds of stuff. And again, it's good to tell yourself if you, I mean, something negative, point out something, an opportunity for change, an opportunity to do something different, an opportunities. And as humans, I assure you, we are opportunity rich creatures. But first, you have to be willing to acknowledge that there is opportunity for change. And again, we're conscious creatures. We're the only thing that God created that has a conscious choice. That means that we get to think about it. Now, people are like, well, I was unconscious about. No, you had a choice. So because you had a choice, you were conscious about it. If you just haphazardly just did something, if you just decided I'm just gonna do this thing without thinking about but if you had a choice, that means you're conscious. And in your consciousness, use your choice and your ability to choose wisely. So forgiving yourself, forgiving others, forgiving situations, forgiving circumstances, forgiving in order to move into our highest consciousness. That's what it really is all about. We are spiritual beings having an earthly experience. So we've got to get back to our spiritual selves. That's your authentic self. Your soul, who you came here, who you entered into this experience as, not to be, who you entered as, and get back to that. And then align that with your divine purpose so that you can fulfill your divine assignment. At the end of the day, at the end of this life, at the end of this human experience, that's really what it boiled down to. Did you complete the purpose that you came here to fulfill? And if you didn't, oh, friend, there's more work to do. There's more work to do. So we come here to do a thing, and we come here to align with our calling, each of us. Yours is not mine. I'm not here to tell you what yours is. I don't do that with my clients. I do not do that. I even changed that I was a life coach because I felt like people were giving me a life to coach, making up stuff to make me think I was coaching them, not knowing that I could see right through all of that. So it just wasn't working. I help people create a life strategy now. Plan your work and work your plan. Write your vision, make it plain. All the things. Speak life. Just be. So now we're in that space where we're ready to elevate. Everybody's elevating. We're bossing up. We're souling up. We're doing it in all the things. And transform her is a place where we'll tap into these things, our spiritual awareness, self-awareness, spiritual awareness. Can it be the same thing? Yeah, it can be the same thing. We're going to be, moving into the talking about emotional intelligence. Again, just understanding who we are first so that we can share all the other things with our fellow humans in the experience. Um, we're going to be talking about how to make soul-centered choices. Things that feel good to your soul, not just based on, you know, um, analytics, data, whether it's real data or street data. Sometimes we listen to what other people have to say. But this is where we're going to be on the first and third Wednesdays, here to make magic and support each other and be amazing. I am I am here to fulfill my divine purpose. I have known what it was for a very long time, and I was very afraid of it because I did not um, I wasn't raised to know my power. I wasn't raised to know that I have gifts. I wasn't raised to know that I am the gift. Um, so now I'm in this space where I have opportunity, I have experience, and I have a platform, and I have followers and listeners and all of that. So now it's about, again, operating in my gifts and fulfilling my divine assignment and doing this podcast every first and third Wednesday from 9 to 10 p.m. Eastern Time. But creating this space where we can, again, just support each other, where we can be here for each other, where we can have conversations that are real conversations. You know, one time I was talking to a lady about this sisterhood collective that I had, and she said, "Well, what were y'all talking about?" I says, "We were grown ass women talking about things that grown ass women need to talk about." And she just looked at me with all the wonder or something. I don't know what she was looking at me with, but that's what this is about. We can't be so afraid of what other people will think that we don't take care of each other. And again, this is about me following my path that is taking me where I need to be. So I am here. This is going to be fun. It's going to be exciting. The guests are going to be great. Again, we have got all kinds of healers lined up. I've got my first sponsor, so I'm excited for that. And by the time we have the show on the 16th, we will have the sponsorships available. We'll have, I don't know. I don't know. We're going to have something. I don't know what we're going to have. We're going to have delicious tea that I made a little bit too sweet tonight. That's going to give me a sugar spike in the middle of the night. So I may have to dilute this with another cup just to break the sugar down just a little bit. But thank you so much for tuning in and allowing me to show up and do the work that I am designed and here to do. I hope that you have heard something tonight. I hope that you've heard something tonight that resonated with you. This is again just the first episode. Um, but I hope you heard something. I hope you'll go back and listen to it. I hope you will join us on the next episode. That will be on November the 16th. That is the third Wednesday of the month. I am traveling that week. So while I'm traveling, I will still be doing the podcast. I may have a different background. And interestingly enough, this is, if it looks familiar to you and you've been on a podcast that I've done before and it looks familiar, it's because it is one that I have used before and I absolutely love it. My son Joshua gave it to me. I absolutely love it, but I also needed something familiar. I had to pivot and move the podcast to a different space in my home on a very short notice, as in about 6 o'clock this evening. So I had to get it all set up in a whole different room. So, but I needed something familiar in this space so that I would be comfortable. So I would be comfortable doing the podcast this evening. But I do again want to say thank you for tuning in. Thank you. I got to say thank you to myself tonight. Thank you, Teresa. Thank you for your courage to push past all of the things that you were fearful of to do this evening. I want to say thank you for your voice. Um, that is so rich. Thank you, but I have to say thank you for your voice, for using it the way you're supposed to. This is me talking to me. Thank you for not letting the imposter syndrome take over and keep you from doing your live tonight. Thank you for doing a live. Thank you for not just doing it on Riverside where I was much more comfortable. But for doing this again on Facebook Live, on Instagram Live, and on YouTube Live. I was on 3 platforms tonight, 4, including Riverside. It was a direct link to Riverside. So, um, again, that's what this cracked open is all about. Is it's being vulnerable and being open to whatever it is and saying yes to yourself. So my action item for you this evening is first of all to journal. You know, I'm big on journaling. So I would love if you get your journal out and just write down three things that you're grateful for today. Just three things. And after yesterday and every after last night, still find three things that you're grateful for. Um, and just practice being cracked open with yourself. Practice being cracked open with yourself. Stand in the mirror and say something out loud to yourself that's good for you. Just something. Tell yourself you love your eyes. Tell yourself you love your teeth. Tell yourself you have a anything, just anything to um to boost yourself up. That's what we're doing again. That's what this is all about. So until next time, where next time we've got a guest lined up, you will see it on the flyer. It will not be. I haven't 100% confirmed it, but she is amazing. She is amazing, and we're gonna do this again on the 16th of November, 9 o'clock p.m. Facebook Live, Instagram Live. Um, YouTube Live, and Riverside Live. Thank you all so much for joining this evening. I wish you peace and blessings. And until next time, we're out. Peace.